Alrighty, so here we have an explanation of problem 2, which asks for the relative as well as the absolute extrema of this function here. F of x is equal to e to the 2x times, in brackets, natural log of x minus 1, close brackets. Now, it first asks to find the relative extrema. The first step to do this is to find the derivative of that equation there, the function we're given, which uses the product rule and can be shown right here. Next, the second part, you have to set the derivative equal to 0 and then solve for the critical points. Now, there's a couple ways you can do this. You could either use solver or graph it. Either way will give you a good answer. I like to use graphs to really check my work, but for this one I used solver, and it gave me the values x equals 2.156 and x equals 0.187. Now, for the third step, to find the relative extrema for this function, we are going to have to make a sign chart for f prime of x. That's important. By using these critical points that we found in step 2. Now, after making the sign chart, you have to test values before that value, between them, and then after this second value here. And it will show, by plugging it into the original, and it will show that this is positive, negative, and positive, which will mean that increase, decrease, that means it's a relative max. Decrease, increase means that's a relative min. So there's a relative max at 0.187, right, which can be shown here in part 4, which explains it all, and a relative min at 2.156, which can be seen here. Next, it's going to ask for the absolute extrema on the interval 0.1 to 3. Now, the first two steps here are going to be identical to those done in part A of this problem, so we don't have to go over those. But step 3 is different. Here we have to make a table for to solve for the critical numbers as well as the numbers in the interval by plugging it into the original. So note, this here is the original function. You're not going to plug it into that derivative at all. And then that gives us these numbers here. And you can interpret those here in part 4 to find that there's an absolute max. The absolute max is 39.783, and it occurs at x equals 3, so that corresponds to that there. And then there's an absolute min, or the absolute min is negative 17.286, and that occurs at x equals 2.156, and that can be seen right here. And then it all corresponds. Thank you.